was all about the bench strength and numbers. Warriors taking game 1 with ease. Game 2 Sunday night on ABC at 8 p.m. Eastern. Stephen A. Who you got in game 2?
Well, I got the Warriors winning this series in 7 games. As far as I'm concerned, the only shot that it has, or I shouldn't say the only shot, but the best shot that it has of going 7 would be if the Golden State Warriors were to lose game 2. So I did say that I thought the teams would split games 1 and 2, both in Golden State, and then after that split games 3 and 4 in Cleveland. And so I just think that I'm going to hold to that. I will tell you that based on what I saw last night, that doesn't look very promising. I mean, if Cleveland doesn't find a way to figure out how to get some production from somebody other than its big three, I don't see them winning more than 2 games in this series, if that, to be quite honest with you. So it's one of those situations where they're going to have to step up and handle their business. And to hold true to my prediction, I'll predict that Cleveland will win game 2, but I'm not high on that right now. 45-10 blitzing on the part of its bench over Cleveland's bench really resonates with me. It's quite shocking, to be quite honest with you, that level of disparity took place. We'll see what happens. I got to believe in the greatness of LeBron James, that he's not going to sit idly by and find himself in a position where he's going to get blitzed in this fashion. I think they'll find a way to respond. I think Cleveland could end up stealing game 2. I'm not that high on it, though. I'm primarily going with that pick because I predicted this series will go 7 games.
So you don't have much conviction left about
No.
Cleveland will win one of the first 2 games at Golden State?
Right. Correct. But I'm going to go with it anyway.
All right. I said Cleveland would win last night. I think Cleveland had a great chance to win last night that they will not have on Sunday night. I'm going to say it again. That game was on a silver platter for either LeBron or Kyrie to say, okay, I got this. And neither would or could seize the moment and the opportunity that I don't think they'll have again in this series to steal a game at Oracle. Not like that. So I will remind you of this, to your point about LeBron's greatness. The incredible stat is that the last 9 times his team has lost a game 1 of a playoff series, LeBron's team has come back and won game 2. That's impressive. And yet that feels like now ancient history to me, because this Golden State team is so different than anything they've had to deal with before. And Steve Kerr made a pointed point last night after the game of saying, yes, I will remind my team that we did win game 1 last year and proceeded to lose game 2 at home and game 3 at Cleveland. So that's going to be the big message today and certainly all through the weekend into Sunday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time, is remember what happened last year. This Golden State team, I think you would agree, is so much better than it was a year ago at this point. It's just more imposing. It has so much more confidence and maturity, and it's deeper and it's better, and it's confident in all phases of the game in ways it wasn't last year, when I thought Cleveland, even without Kyrie and Love, I thought they're in a pretty commanding position up 2-1 with game 4 in LeBron's house. I don't see it this time. There is no way that Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are going to go a combined 8 for 27 and make 4 threes. In fact, I will bet you they'll combine to make at least 15 threes in game 2. And again, my point about Oracle is that raises the roof. So it's going to be an even louder crowd, a more emotional crowd, feeding off the 3-point shots that you just know they're going to make. They're going to play much better. I also think LeBron and Kyrie will play much better. I just don't know if it's going to be enough. And obviously, you hear a lot of talk about, remember what happened to the Spurs? Game 1 against Oklahoma City, just this playoff season, obviously. My Spurs won at home by, 32 points? Yeah, 32 points. And came right back and lost game 2 at home to Oklahoma City. Well, the difference is that in game 1, my 2 big stars, LaMarcus Aldridge had 38 points and Kawhi had 25. So they combined for 63 points in game 1. Steph and Clay last night combined for a season-low 20 points. So it's a whole the script is completely flipped because now the worst-case scenario for Cleveland is they lost when the two superstars on the other team, or the two stars, came up empty. By Steph's standards, that was really empty. Steph was so frustrated that he finally made a late three, as you saw, Stephen A., and he threw his mouth guard in frustration after he made one in a garbage time shot. You know, they each had a garbage time three that added to their, you know, they were stuck on 14 total points until they each made a late three. So that's not going to happen again. And I'm not sure I see a quick fix strategically. I'm not sure what else you can do to keep them from making threes. They either make it or miss it. They're going to generate their threes. They're going to get open threes or near contested threes.
Let me say how I look at it, though. Obviously, Steph and Clay would be more prolific. But if Steph is hitting his shots, if one of them is hitting their shots, then you don't need Leandro Barbosa and Sean Livingston to come to the rescue. So what I'm saying to you is that even though, you know, it's not going to happen to them again, the fact of the matter is that in the same breath, neither will the production from the bench, because there won't need to be a need. There won't be a need for that level of a discrepancy. So when you look at it from that perspective, and then you imagine that Kyrie's going to shoot better than 7 for 22, that Love can be relied upon to do what he did, which was a solid performance.
It was.
Okay, and that LeBron will make better decisions along the way of getting near a triple-double, then chances are Cleveland will still have an opportunity to win this game. I don't think Cleveland's going to get blown away like that. I think what makes Golden State so dangerous, so prolific, is that they hit you in bunches. Every blow that they throw is a relatively devastating blow. They can disappear for quarters at a time and then in a span of 3 minutes make up for everything. This is what they do. And so when you look at it from that perspective, can you take the punch? I think the way you can take the punch is to dictate tempo to some degree as a method to neutralize them. And that's where LeBron comes in. And so because I don't have to count out LeBron, then I can look at it from that perspective and say that they have a chance. Now, he's got to play big. There's no question. He's got to play big, and he doesn't always play big in the big games. He gets his numbers, but he doesn't always play big in big moments, rather. He will have to in this series in order for Cleveland to win the championship.
Okay, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked in our A block of the show. You sure that Iguodala just doesn't have LeBron's number? Because remember, last year's finals flipped in Game 4. Wasn't it Game 4? Yeah, when Iguodala started for the first time in Game 4 at Cleveland, and LeBron had, by his standards, a poor game, kind of a non-game where he wasn't much of a factor when they could have gone up 3-1.
I think Iguodala does a better job against him than most. But that doesn't mean it's going to completely render LeBron helpless. It just means that he'll have a more difficult road to prosperity than he would against most others, because Iguodala is an elite defender. The flip side to it is that it's not as if he can stop LeBron. It's not as if LeBron can't get his. The point is LeBron just has to be smarter and more efficient. That's what he's going to have to be. And he's going to have to figure out a way to do that. And relying on a jump shot doesn't appear to be the method to do it.
Well, I mean, to me, that looked like frustration, like he felt like he couldn't get Iguodala to the basket and even draw fouls from him.
Well, I saw him get Iguodala to the basket on 2 or 3 occasions. I also saw him pull up for a couple of jumpers that he made. And I actually thought it was bad that he made them because I knew that was going to make him to rely on them more.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, I'm going to challenge LeBron. You got to show up big if you're going to win Game 2, and you're going to get Iguodala a lot. And it's time to look. Iguodala did a pretty good number on Kevin Durant. Wouldn't you agree? Wasn't that pivotal in the previous series?
That's true, too. But, Skip, let's not gloss over the fact that Cleveland had a lot of defensive lapses, particularly in the first 3 quarters. I can't count how many times somebody was looking at J.R. Smith or others and be like, where are you? I mean, wide open, uncontested layups by the Golden State Warriors, it was kind of surprising to see Cleveland's defense so bad, and it just gave us indications that, you know what, maybe they didn't get the work that we thought they got in those Eastern Conference playoffs. We know they skated through and won the first 10 and won 12 out of 14 games. But at the same time, Atlanta, Detroit before that, Toronto after that. I mean, we all know that Golden State is on exponentially on another level. But my goodness, I mean, it just seemed to be completely night and day compared to what they were going through. Based on what we saw last night, it was like Cleveland was ill-prepared to deal with what Golden State was throwing at them. Yeah,
I agree. My last point's on Sean Livingston. Remember, that's just aberration. And I think he's really a nice player, and they are so strong because they have him coming off the bench, as you say, at 6'7", and he shoots that jump shot from such a high point, it's just virtually unblockable. It's either going to go in or not. Remember, Game 6 at Oklahoma City, the must-win, the save-the-season game.
Right.
Sean Livingston went 0 for 4 in that game, and you know what Clay did to keep him afloat, and you know what Steph did late in that game.
Yeah, but here's what you got to look at. Cleveland's switching on every play. Nobody's committing to manning up and saying, I'm going to guard this guy. They're switching at every turn. Steve Kerr, to his credit, along with Luke Walton, recognizes this. And so a lot of the mismatches were created. There were plenty of times, Skip, where you saw Kyrie Irving on Harrison Barnes, or Kyrie Irving on Andre Iguodala a couple of times, or Sean Livingston on a Kyrie Irving. Because if you're going to automatically switch as opposed to fighting through picks and screens to make sure you guard your man, then ultimately I can set up a pick situation where I can dictate that I'm going to have Kyrie on me if I'm Sean Livingston, who's about 6 inches to 7 inches taller than Kyrie Irving, or Harrison Barnes, same situation. You could create those kind of matchup problems because you know that Cleveland's just going to switch on everything. You can't do that. You got to commit to fighting through it and staying in front of your guy so the matchups that you want ultimately could be the matchups that you get.
You know, last point on Kyrie. He's a pretty good nose-to-nose defender when he takes a challenge. I got Steph face-to-face. I'm going to stay in his face. But if you ask him to start switching and cross-matching, he gets lost, man. Because a couple times last night, I'm like, Kyrie, where are you,
JR2. JR2.
I know, you're right.
JR2.
You are right.
So Game 2 Sunday, LeBron has come back and won Game 2s before. He's won 9 straight after losing a Game 1, won a Game 2. So we'll see what happens. Skip sticking with the Warriors. Stephen A is picking Cleveland in Game 2. Not too confident on that. We want you guys to get involved in this conversation. Let us know what you think. First Take Fam, hit us up on Twitter. Who wins Game 2? We will share those results in just a bit. And our next guest is definitely going to weigh in on this. He's listening intently, patiently over there. Even a bigger Knicks fan than Stephen A, the legend Spike Lee in the house. He has some new projects.
What does he want?
Going to discuss
What does he want?
What does he want?
Spike, how are you? Great to see you.
The Knicks situation is all his fault.
We'll get you a
He's
chair
to
in just a
blame.
second.